who are just joining, we are starting momentarily, just giving people last minute to jump in and hear us out here. We will be sharing all of the important updates that are shared in this voice chat in a text announcement too. So if you want to hear it first, stay on. If you got to jump, that's okay. You will find out soon enough. All right, we're 10 minutes past the hour, so I think now's a good time to get started. Once again, thanks everybody for joining this AMA with just 2 hours of notice. The purpose of this AMA is really just to one go over the announcement that we just shared around our token supply count increase. We want to solicit any sort of questions that you might have about that. If there are any questions around why we did that, or what changes that, what implications that has for the community, for the tribe, then we want to address those. And then the other thing is that we have an important date that we want to share with you soon. So all of that's coming up in this AMA. It shouldn't take too long, but it kind of depends on how in depth your questions are, and whether we're able to answer them or not. So, with that being said, is there any other introductory remarks that anyone from the team wants to make?
This is Sergio here. So, with that announcement, we want to say we really appreciate everyone's like support on it. It was it's always an interesting pivot when you have to make an announcement like that. But again, we want to stress, and that's what part of this will be about, especially when Fenris goes over kind of it in detail. But that we did this with a lot of thought and with the good of the community in mind more than anything. Again, like we stressed in that this is not about us making more money. We're adjusting the mint price so the raise is the exact same. It's about just we think overall, just in so many aspects, it'll be better for the project.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just kind of go over what we shared in the text, because I know sometimes it's a lot to read through the text, and to hear it from our voices might make it make a little bit more sense. So really, the reason, first of all, the change that we announced was that we originally planned to release the collection as 8,888 pieces. And we recently made the decision to increase that to an even 10,000. And we before we made that call, of course, we thought through that very carefully, because in the past there have been times where projects have received a lot of hype and then made a decision to change their collection size sort of in haste. And sometimes those projects have received some FUD for that. So we wanted to make sure that everybody understood very clearly why we were doing it and exactly what that meant for us. And doing it this way also was kind of like a divergence from our normal communication like strategy. Normally, as you know, everything that we talk about is like wrapped in the lore and wrapped in the branding. But because this was such an important change, we felt like it was worthwhile to just be straightforward and direct with you. So this is really all in the spirit of transparency, that we're telling you exactly why we made this change. So it came down to three main reasons. The first one is definitely the most important reason why. This is what we kept coming back to, and that's that by increasing this supply to 10,000, it really allows us to strengthen the community. Um, this project has always been, from day one, a community driven, community first project. That's always how we felt about it. We saw a shift in the meta that was happening before our eyes, where higher supply collections were doing well right off the bat, or even old veteran higher supply collections were making crazy comebacks. And we see that that's really a reflection of Solana becoming more popular. There's more liquidity coming into the system, whether that's from Ethereum or other blockchains, or just new people like finding crypto, finding NFTs. And so as Solana gains more mainstream adoption, it doesn't make sense to have a smaller collection. And we thought that even when we chose 8,888, but I think we realized that even that was smaller than we needed to be. We can play bigger than that. And some of the things that contributed to us making that switch were like just in the past week, and even in the past day, really, we're continuing to be contacted by some really major players. And when I say that, I don't just mean like players in the space. These are people who we wouldn't have ever like dreamed might have been interested in doing something with us when we first started. People outside of Solana, outside of Web3 altogether. We're talking about like professional athletes, like well-known household name athletes, professional gamers and streamers. We have a handful of world-renowned musicians, like touring musicians, who actually are already on the whitelist, and they have friends that are interested in joining us too. And then there are all these content creators and like niches that I didn't even know existed, frankly, but they have audiences in the millions. So just like thinking about how we can bring those people in at the same time as we honor the community here that's already been growing and being fostered organically. That was a big part of the decision. So, increasing the supply is not just about having more numbers, although that is a benefit as well. It's about like who are in those numbers. We can start to accommodate all of these people that are have influence in the crypto sphere and in pop culture. And we feel like that really helps us with a bigger mission, right? To if we can get people who are not already engaged in NFTs to be a part of this project, then that's going to onboard more people into Solana, into NFTs, and of course that elevates our brand name in the process. Trippin Ape Tribe can become a household name. And then sort of a tangential point, but still worth considering is like we just love the art. We know all of you love the art too. Like that was the first thing that really led to a pop in the hype for this project is seeing Fig's artwork. And moving from 8,888 to 10,000 means that there are 1,112 more pieces of Fig's art floating around, being repped on Twitter. So all of that is beneficial to the project. Um, the second main reason why we made this change was we felt like we owed it to you, the community. I've never seen anything like what you guys are doing. The passion, the dedication to creating fan art, to hitting the experience levels in the chat. You're in here night and day, like you don't even go to sleep. It's I mean, be careful about your mental health, of course, but I mean, it's inspiring, right? And we want to reward that, and it like breaks our heart, frankly, that like we see all of you grinding so hard, and we can't give all of you whitelist. Like we wish that we could get every single person who showed that kind of commitment whitelist, but at this point, we're knocking on the door of 250,000 Discord members, quarter million Discord members. It's crazy. So that's obviously not possible. But by increasing the supply, it does allow us to give some more spots out, and that feels good. And so for that reason, by adding these additional 1,000 plus whitelist spots, we're not just going to give them all to these, influencers and movers and shakers in the space and outside the space. Like a good portion of that is going to go toward rewarding those of you who've been here since the beginning. We want that engagement that's organic in the Discord, and we want to recognize you for that, especially on this last leg leading up to the mint. And then the final reason, just to put any sort of fears to rest around increasing supply because we want to make more money. It's really not about that at all. In fact, like we're not going to make any more money from this. We're reducing the cost of the mint in accordance with the increase of supply. So, before we ever set the supply or the price, we had a raise in mind in US dollars that we need to execute our plans. And that amount has not changed at all. So that just means that with the same amount of money that we need to raise with the mint across more people, each person will pay less. So in effect, you're getting a discounted mint price. I know we didn't share the mint price before, so you sort of have to take our word for that. You have to take our word on that from us, but that is the truth. So ultimately, we get to charge less per mint, which creates a more accessible entry point for every single person in the community, all of our minters. So um, after articulating those 3 points, hopefully it's clear to you that this decision was not a hasty one. We really considered it very carefully. We felt like we owed it to you to share our reasons why, and I hope that you found them compelling. So with that being said, I think we'll open the floor up for some questions, and I will pass it off maybe to Danny if you are able to pick some out.
I'm looking through as well.
Okay,
Uh,
sweet.
One I see that someone asked if it'll be a guaranteed mint. If you have whitelist, then yes. We're not whitelisting more than the supply. Um, Someone asked about token based versus wallet based. So we are going for wallet. We're actually going for a Hydra's working on kind of this new hybrid, and we're not going to go with it unless we feel 100% confident. So it's going through a lot of testing right now. Um, but yeah, the goal is wallet, and the reason is we really don't want to see our token being sold, for 50 sol, and then or whatever it is. And then people kind of have this weird narrative that or this weird psychological thing where they paid so much. It just creates a lot of confusion. So that's not something we're trying to do. People get scammed with tokens all the time too. So yeah, the goal is some sort of wallet based hybrid. Um, Looking here. So this is something it's probably time to address, I suppose, because it's been asked a lot. Someone asked if there's any public mint. So yeah, the supply will be completely whitelisted, and the reason for that is if we don't, like, let's say we whitelist 8,000, and there's 2,000 left over, that will get botted to hell. I mean, a couple people will end up with hundreds and hundreds of them. So as much as it sucks, as much as people think, we still want the chance to try it. Like, there unfortunately really isn't a chance until until we like really come up with like a bot solution. So that is unfortunately like that's the only way to actually do this, where it's kind of like one person gets each one. Um, Looking through here, how does Yeah, on that note, we just don't want to confuse our counts on our document, with having multiple roles show up. If someone had OG whitelist and VIP, they would show up as basically 6 mints. So we just took off those bottom ones so we could make sure we're getting the right number of whitelists. Someone did ask a good question. Now that the supply increase is imminent, do you guys plan to make more attributes? We have a lot of attributes. We have a ton of traits. In fact, we had to cut some out, quite a few. So we don't really need more. I don't know what the final number ended up at. I know Brisket and Hanky are pretty deep on in the art generation right now. In fact, I don't think either of them are in here because they're probably doing that. Um, so Yeah, we don't really need to make any more traits, and the problem becomes if you make too many, then the percentages of rares and commons gets kind of weird. So we feel like we have a really good amount of traits. Sorry, I'm like also like looking way high up in these questions. Let me see here. Uh, okay, does anyone, any of you guys see anything? Danny, Fenris. Someone asked about the roadmap. So the roadmap is Chorl's journal. Um, so and there's two entries right now. There'll be probably two more before the mint. Um, and again, our roadmap is not meant to be stated obviously. So we want to keep everything a little mysterious. And I've said this on a couple spaces. One of the reasons is when you put everything out there in the beginning, then the hype when you actually implement one of the roadmap steps is not as exciting. So again, if you read into some of these, especially like maybe the second one and these new ones coming up, you can at least maybe get an idea of what we're doing. So yeah, that's I think that's the best answer for that. Um, Someone said Hydra is the token. I don't know what they mean by that. Um, the someone asked about launch pads. I mean, launch pads, so it doesn't get botted. Launch pads still get botted. Um, is it possible for someone who just joined to get whitelisted? Um, yes. I mean, so especially with like contests and stuff, it is tough, like Fenris said. We have like a quarter million people in here, and there's obviously not a whole lot of whitelist spots left. There's more now than there would have been. We would have basically been out of whitelist at this point. So it's certainly possible. Of course, like when you look at the odds and stuff, but there's obviously, just because there's this many people in here doesn't mean they're all that active. So don't look at it as like you have that percentage out of 250K, because there's still a lot of people that aren't entering contests that aren't participating in the games, which there will be some more games. Um, when mint, that will probably be addressed pretty soon. What's the most interesting collab you have so far? It's a good question. As far as like projects, like we've had people from Doodles, people from Board Ape. Like we think it's just really interesting how much ETH, how many ETH projects and big names in the space have been over here for this. Like we just did spaces last week, or that was this week. That was Monday with Mason Ghost. Um, yeah, the ETH love has been crazy. Um, so I'm just going through these here. They want King to talk. King doesn't like to talk. He likes to type. Um, I heard a like one syllable from him there. Is there anything to cancel all bots? No, unfortunately not. Um, this is a really nice, at least, you know, I don't know if it's a question, but it's someone just basically said they want to make sure that all the team members take some time to check in with their mental health, and I think that's super nice of you. Thanks, all good, Trippin Apes. Um, Do we think the mint numbers to 10 or increasing mint numbers to 10K will affect the floor price later on after mint? Um, we don't, to be honest, like we don't make a lot of decisions based on the floor price. We make a lot of decisions based on like what is really going to be best for the project, which I suppose in turn affects floor price. But um, I mean, look at the two of the biggest sold projects are OK Bears and D Gods, and both of them have 10K. um the thing about 10K collections is it's compared to our 8,888, that's a little over 1,000 more people to be loud on Twitter and kind of rep the PFP and just get behind the project. So we think it's just a power and numbers thing. If someone had 100K collection, I mean, you would never be able to get away from them, right? So um, that was a big reason. Like we actually think it just makes the community a lot stronger. Um, can whitelist upgrade to OG? Not really, unfortunately. Um, so this person asked a good question. With the trippy aspect, are you confident that isn't limiting yourself to a certain audience and will limit yourself in any way? Um, for the most part, no. And we have a solution for that little bit where it might. So I think that can be said for a lot of projects. I mean, even like stoned apes or something. Like, not everyone smokes weed. Not everyone cares about that culture. We think it's more about like just let me put it this way: our a lot of our utility in like maybe our IRL utility, you don't have to be someone that likes to trip or has ever tripped to appreciate it or enjoy it. Um, if you absolutely hate psychedelics, that might be a problem. But I mean, I don't think it'd be very limiting. And where when it becomes limiting from maybe like a brand collaboration standpoint, um, that's kind of where Valhalla Labs comes into play. So that's where we can brand and collaborate based on that. And there's already a lot of conversations kind of in the works with that stuff. Who wrote the lore? Just some of our team members, some of our awesome team members. Um, Ben, you want to take any of these? I actually have a question I'm going to send over to you to the team real quick. All right, guys, one second. Um, Someone asked about games. Yeah, I think there'll be more games. Any update on the doc status? Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone heard. We mentioned this on quite a few spaces. Um, we are very, very doxed to a lot of players in the space. I was just with Magic Eden people yesterday, like in person, and we are doxed to. I had a call with Big Brain, a video call. Like we're doxed to a lot of the players to the point where if we ever did any weird shit, I mean, we would instantly be screwed. So that just the reason we're not going to dox like outwardly to the public is because there are a lot of eyes on this, and we already get insane messages. People saying stuff they should not be saying. People reaching out to like for example, I'm not actually I shouldn't even say that because I don't want more people to do it. But yeah, the problem becomes, especially with the whitelist going on right now, some people get a little crazy, and we all have jobs and brands that we own, and we just can't mix that up. I mean, you eventually it'll be inevitable that you guys will know who we are, but yeah, we have to be careful on that. Why don't you use Mercury for wallet submissions? Hydra has a great solution for that. It's super simple. You can do it all in Discord. Also, yeah, by the way, if you are whitelisted, make sure to submit your wallet. Please tell us about your future collabs. We can't really say anything that isn't announced, but there's a lot in the works. How hard is it to check all the fan art? That's a great question because it's impossible, really. We do our best. We go through the channel all the time. We get a lot of mentions on Twitter, so we try to keep up, but we can't completely. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, I'm back. Um, Someone asked again, whitelist. Yes, whitelist will be guaranteed to mint. Actually, a lot of people are asking that. Someone asked, why not a 20K collection? I think that jump would have been a little, that would have been hard to explain. Who knows? Maybe our second collection will be 20K, but you got to have a reason for that, and you got to kind of plan for that in advance. Um, can you reveal some of the big players? I mean, not really, that level. I mean, you'll see them after mint if they post it. Hoping it's Shaq. Shaq's in this Discord. Um, at least he was. But we are also like talking to the Astral guys a lot, so they're super cool. Um, you guys planning on having mutations? Um, that I can't really say, I guess. Um, and so we'll have, we're gonna have information on the price um very soon. Um, with the uncertainty of this market, it probably is gonna be closer to mint. I mean, that's the only way we can really do it. There's just too much uncertainty, and like Fenrir said, and like we mentioned in the announcement, we have um, our mint raise pretty well mapped out. Sorry, guys. We have our mint raise pretty well mapped out, and so for us to make less just because Sol goes down, just unfortunately doesn't really work. And I'm gonna say this here, like the one soul equals one soul narrative. I get it. It's something influencers like to talk about. It's not really how businesses work. If you were being if a VC was funding your business, but they were funding it in soul, and all of a sudden they said, well, yeah, we said we were going to give you 5 million, but the price is now down, and so it's only going to be worth 2.5 million. Like that, that just would never work. And to be honest, most of the stuff that we're paying out right after mint is all in USD. Um, so yeah, that's it. It is that narrative honestly needs to die. Like it's not good for projects. And all it is a way for influencers to engagement farm. That's all that is. It's not how the real world works, unfortunately. Um, what is the vision for this project if you didn't have all this support? Man, I mean, that's a great question. I try not to think about hypotheticals, honestly, just because it's really hard to say what we'd be doing if we didn't have, all this hype right now. Um, but we had a really good marketing plan that we just really stuck to and believed would work, and it did. 1 second, guys. Okay. Um, Someone asked about some DAO collabs. There will be there will be some, yes, but we really do want to focus on the community, you guys. Also, you guys might want to check out our Twitter real quick if you have a minute. Might be something on there worth seeing. Okay.
All right, for those of you who checked it out, then you saw this, but some of you are just totally enraptured with our conversation here. So I'm going to tell you, we just announced that the mint will take place on May 24th. That's next Tuesday, less than 1 week away. So get excited. The initiation ceremony is almost upon us.
Yep. So everyone go blow up that tweet. Let everybody know. Yeah, we're super stoked. Sorry, and I sound maybe a little less enthusiastic. I was on a 24-hour trip, both with 6 a.m. flights, so I am brutally tired right now. But Finn, do we want to take any more questions? I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff. Uh, and
Well, I
again,
did
just
see one question that I feel like we should answer, and
for
that
sure.
is, Lysergic, if you were to host another music festival outside the EDM space, what would it be and why?
Outside of the EDM space, as in like a different genre.
A different genre, yeah.
Um,
I assume country, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
wow, man, really throwing me under the bus like that, huh? No, honestly probably be hip hop. And I don't know if I'm thinking about that. It's actually, to be honest, my where I kind of grew up in the music scene, like my first love of like live events was actually like metal and the hardcore scene. Um, was into that like 20 years ago. Going to 2, 3 shows a week. But those festivals are just kind of tough to do. Yeah, I'd probably do a hip hop festival. I listen to a lot of hip hop. Um, or maybe a Solana festival.
Solana is its own music genre.
Yeah, yeah, it's just Frank and OK Bears and everyone on stage singing for hours.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we answered all the questions, all the burning questions. So yeah, once again, thanks everybody for tuning in to this AMA. We really appreciate you. We love this tribe. Couldn't do any of this without you. So much love, and we're looking forward to minting with you next Tuesday.
all right, take care, guys.